Welcome to a new video and a new trap. And the game started with e4, c5, knight f3, knight c6, d4, cd4, knight d4, knight f6, and knight c3. And now e5. And as mentioned in the chess base for this variation, this is the Sicilian defense, the Pelikan and Sveshnikov variations. Knight to f5, d5, e d5, bishop f5, d c6, b takes c6, queen to f3, and queen to c8. And this is the bad move or the blunder from black side. Maybe it's better to play queen to d7. But after queen to c8, now white starts his action, bishop to a6. Of course, deflecting if queen takes a6, queen take f5, deflecting the queen from protecting the bishop on f5. And now queen takes a6, so black is okay with this move. Queen takes f5, and now black continues his bad play, bishop to f4. Sorry, bishop to b4. And maybe rook b8 is better, or bishop to e7, but bishop to b4, keeping or leaving the bishop on e5 unprotected. So queen takes e5, king f8, and queen to e2, blocking the queen's attack on this diagonal and trying to exchange maybe. It's for white's benefit. So rook to a8 to e8, bishop to e3, covering the attack of the rook, queen to a5. So now black preserving his queen, and he wants to keep his attack going. Queen to c4, protecting, of course. And now black exchanges his pieces. Bishop take c3, b take c3, knight to d5, and now attacking the c3 pawn and the bishop on e3. Castles, of course, better to keep our king in safe location. So now knight takes e3, f takes e3, and queen to c7. And after this move, white takes some measures or some tactical play, especially with the rook in the center undeveloped and the king still not very safe. And the position for white is a pawn up. Materially is a pawn up. So white takes on f7 with check, queen takes f7, and rook to f1. Of course, forced to take the rook. Queen takes f1, king take f1, and now white start his action, and due to some passivity or bad position for black and 2 pawns down, so it's better for white and advantageous for white, because if now the rook takes on e3, queen f4 and take the rook, so it's bad. So rook to e7, trying to bring the other rook to the game. King e2, h5, queen f4 check, king g8, queen to d6. Of course, attacking the rook and preventing the king from going to h7, and not allowing the second rook to join the game. So king to f7, queen c6, and now this is the third pawn, and the position for black is becoming more difficult. So rook h to e8, queen to f3 check, and protecting, of course, the pawn on e3. King to g8, of course, returning back. Queen to d5, more check. King to f8, and now white tries to combine his play with the checks and advancing his pawn, the c3 pawn and the e3 pawns. So trying to advance with the protection of the queen and the king. So king to c5, of course, now this is a strategy or a technique to pin one of the rooks and try to advance the pawns. King to g8 and c4, g6, queen d4, king to h7, and king to d3. And now the e-pawn is ready to advance also. King to g8, as you notice, black has no play and just moving the king. c5, and more and more the c pawn is advancing and approaching the queening square. Rook to e6, queen to d5, and also pinning the rook. King to f7, c6, rook 8 to e7, king to d4, of course advancing and protecting together. King to f6, e4, and now it's hopeless for black. Rook to c7, e5 check, king to f7, king to c5 and a6, king b6, rook c to e7, king take a6, king g7, king to b6, and rook take e5, queen to d4, also pinning one of the rooks. It's a good strategy. King to h7, and queen takes e5, and black resigns because it's hard to prevent the c pawn from castling. So this is our game for today. Be careful, because when you take some actions or some decision in the opening, you must be ready and calculate very well, because now after bishop to a6, it's obvious that black is getting in trouble. Thank you for watching, and see you next video and next trap. Bye.